All right. All right. What is good, y'all? What is good? Happy Real Wednesday to you this time. Happy Wednesday to you. Yeah, it's that time. Thank you for coming on. We are here to talk ball. It's the NBA breakdown with Derl. It's been, man, like a month now. I still don't have a real title for this show. CJ, what's good, bro? What's good to you? Um, so I'm working on that. I'm working on that. Um, but yeah, I wanted to do a quick little stream here, talk about tonight's games, give you some looks and some angles, if you will. And then I'll probably do another little stream on, or not stream, but spaces, and go from there. See how everybody's inputted is and what's going on. These games are going to pop up a little earlier. The first game is at 7, and that's Philly and Washington. Kind of that same effect that you had with the Dallas game going at the same time as the Laker game. You kind of have that with the Wizards and Atlanta tonight. So you've got some good matchups. These are game twos. These games really matter tonight, if you ask me. I don't think you have really a solid team, if you will, besides Philly, who should be able to do something. We'll get into that later. Tex, what's good with you? Okay, we already getting props thrown out here. So I've got a prop, points, rebounds, and assists over 13 and a half. Oh, that can't be right. That can't be right. Bertans prop, points, rebounds, and assists over 13? I would, I'm not a props guy, but that just screams that's calling my name. That's calling my name, Tex, for real. If that's, yeah, that's weird. That's a weird one there. So if that's what you got, I mean, the total is 229. So I don't know. That one's weird to me. Let's jump right into it, man. First off, let's go over the games last night. Mark, what's good with you, baby? What's good? I'm not going to be on here long at all. Y'all don't have to see my ugly mug for that long. I'll be on spaces, and we'll try to get something going on there as well. But I did want to give you my input on these games for tonight. And you might have already had some leans and things like that, but it's all good. The thing is there are some good spots that I like tonight, and I kind of feel confident. One, because the motto is just spitting it out, and for two, these games kind of look like they did yesterday, in my opinion. So the confidence level is really there. Okay, so first game, we've got Washington at Philly. Right, so this is the game two. Philly beat them the first time, but if you did take the 7, you covered. I know it got as high as -8, I believe. So I believe if you had I got it at -7. It got as high as -8, and they didn't cover. And so that one there, that game, if you ask me, was a telltale sign. Corey, what's good with you, baby? That was a telltale sign, if you ask me, of what's going to come tonight. Now, a few things stick out. And let me segue actually back to yesterday's games. When looking at the Clippers game and the Mavericks game, you saw that line, and that line was really telling because, in my opinion, there wasn't really any adjustments that Dallas had to make. There was more adjusting that had to be made by, in my opinion, the Clippers. Now, not only did they have to make the adjustments, y'all, but you had to have a better game out of playoff Paul George, if that's what he is, or if he's pandemic Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard. And so I think a lot of steam came in on Clippers, banking on these guys playing better. And they actually did, but it still wasn't enough. So in my opinion, the offense wasn't the problem. It was just not being able to have a containment, I guess, key for, if you will, Luka. Carlisle, and it's been pointed out many times, is a better coach than Ty Lue. Ty Lue's being exposed right now. And so that's what you saw, just a better coaching match. And I can agree with that. Looking at this first game, you've got a better coach in Doc Rivers, right? But what Scotty Brooks is going to do is keep his foot on the gas. He's going to play fast. That's the winning formula. You play fast, you try to get up buckets, and you force the other team to really play fast. Now, they've got the bigs who can do that. So don't think, and once again, this is my opinion, don't think that the Lin, Hachimura, Gafford trifecta, that it was just, that if anything, that was just, that's not going to happen again. I don't believe that, man. I believe those guys are actually good. The worst on that list, in my opinion, is Lin. The best right now playing is Gafford. But I still really like that trio. I like those guys, and I think it's enough bodies to throw a distraction at Embiid. It was good to watch these guys get up, and so in those cases when Embiid is out and you got Dwight in, Dwight is going to still be your rim protecting your defender, but the last thing he's going to do is shoot the ball. All right, if he's got an open look in the paint, he's going to try to dunk it. But that's the guy that's your cleanup guy. That's your cleanup guy. So looking at this game tonight, just about the same line. As you can see, this one didn't move much at all. Looking at this line movement, it pretty much stayed at 8 the entire time. -8 now. The total is 229. Looking at this line movement, we could see it open as high in some cases. I'm looking at all the books, 7.5, 8.5. But that's where it's gone. So that sweet spot is the 7.5, 8.5 spot, right? So maybe we're thinking another push with the Philly -8. I believe, I sound like a broken record, man. I believe Philly can get this team, but I do not believe that they can cover that many points. And the reason being, for me to take a team that's going to cover that many points, you got to have the firepower like Brooklyn. To cover these big spreads, in my opinion, you got to have the firepower of Atlanta. And I know this could probably be even stupid to say, so I'll take some whiskey. But I'll say this. We're not in a position any longer where defense wins championships. We've all grown up with that terminology. We've all grown up with that slogan, defense wins championships, and it's carried over from multiple sports, right? Primarily football. But in this case, that's not the same. And the reason why is because defense is pretty much non-existent. So it's who has the better offense and who can be even more consistent. The reason why it's not consistent, if you ask me, is because they've made it an offensive game. The game is offensive right now. So now I got to square up and look at these squads as in who has really good firepower. And they both do. You got Ben Simmons and you got Embiid, right? They're not necessarily shooting threats from the outside, but you have them and they're going to make you points. They're going to score you points. On the other side, you've got Bradley Beal and, of course, you've got Westbrook. So those two cancel each other out as far as who's going to put the ball in the basket. So now we're looking at a support group. Right, so they've got Matisse Thybulle, right? They got, of course, who should probably be your third man there, which I believe he is Tobias Harris. And now look on Washington's side, right? Now these positions may not really make sense, but I'm just saying as far as personnel to personnel, they've got Gafford, they've got Ish Smith, right? They've got Davis Bertans. So you start seeing that there can be on good nights. I'm telling you right now, on good nights, these teams could both get up and score you points. They can both get up and score you points. So all I know is that Washington has been scoring points. And we can look and take a deep dive into numbers all you want to, but just know, man, Washington, just on their last 10, they're 5-5. Yeah, we know they've lost by maybe 1 point or so, but 6-3 against the spread, right? Philly, 8-2 last 10. But they're 5-5 against the spread. So it's just telling that, yeah, you've got this dynamic team in Philly. I believe Philly is going to get to the ECF. I honestly believe they're going to come out the East. But at the same token, you have these teams like Washington who can, on any given night, score you some buckets. I mean, this is the same team that got up with Atlanta. They can get up as far as shooting the ball. And that's all that matters at this point, is shooting the ball and making the basket. You can see, look at the trend, man. The trend is obviously there. Teams that had really bad shooting nights, especially in the three, they lost. They completely flipped that switch and turn it around. They blow teams out. So I don't think Philly, looking at that game, is looking at they have to make any adjustments. Just like I was saying, Dallas didn't really have to make the adjustments more than the Clippers did. I believe that that's the same reasoning in this game. And that is Philly doesn't really have to make adjustments, right? They just have to probably play better. But what you do need is you do need Bradley Beal to score buckets. You do need equal balance of Westbrook giving you buckets too, because the scary thing about this is you don't want Beal going for like 40, 45 points, because when he gets up there in points, that's when they lose the game. So looking at this game, I did take Washington Wizards. I took Washington +8. I thought it was enough, in my opinion, that they can cover the spread. It looks like the books themselves have given you the number, and it hasn't kind of gone up and down. So maybe, sharps and the public, or maybe there's not even a lot of money on this game, right? Maybe people kind of stayed away from this game. But it's telling that if they're going to give you the same number, and knowing the performance you had seen out of Philly, then Vegas is basically telling you, in my opinion, that you're going to probably get the same game, and Washington could probably get even closer. I just don't know if Philly has really a blowout. Now, Philly could put the ball in the basket. Looking at these numbers now, and remember, here's another one for you too. Wizards are 7-0 and 1 against the spread in their last 8 games following a straight-up loss. They're 7-0 ATS. So that's a crazy spread there. Or that's a crazy trend, if you will. The last time they played, looking at the stats for these guys really quick, you had Philly, who scored 40, actually, or Washington 40 from the three, and Philly gave you 31. Philly also gave you 49 from the field, and Washington gave you 56. So Washington actually played better, right? And Philly still won as far as what showed up on the stat sheet. So I do like Philly to win, but once again, I just don't see them being really aggressive, right? Because they didn't even play their better game, and they won. So you can try to make a point if you want. I just don't like, in this case, that Philly covers. All right, man, I'm low on battery already. Here it is. Give me 1 second. I'm not going to run out of battery this time. Not this time. Next game I got, y'all, is the Atlanta-New York game. And this is another game that I saw the first game. The energy in that arena was absolutely insane. Absolutely insane, man. The energy in that arena was insane. Having that energy in the Garden with fans, as noisy as it is, in their first playoffs in a minute. Well, it was 2004. I can't think of the last time they were in the playoffs. You couldn't help but feel it through the television, man, if you were watching it. Right? They came back. Atlanta tried to get away from them. They would come back. They would pound back. But eventually, I think, on top of that bad, I guess, coaching call, if you want to call the Frank Ntilikina call, what I saw personally, in my opinion, was another team that didn't play their best game and won, and they know that it's not going to get any worse than it was game 1. It can't get any worse than that. As far as energy, as far as opposition. If Atlanta was going to lose a game, and you could see all the air just deflate them, it would have to have been game 1. They would have to have lost game 1, in my opinion. But now the Knicks have shown them, have dealt them their best hand in the Knicks' most best environment, and they still lose. They still lose. Wasn't much. They barely, the Knicks almost win this game. The Knicks almost win this damn game. But you've allowed Trey to figure it out. Trey is another person who can create a foul no matter if you try to do it or not. This man can create a foul. That floater that he's doing is unstoppable. He's doing the floater. John's doing the floater. You see Luka not really doing a floater, but that little run that he's just popping off that the Clippers played off on yesterday. They'd rather him shoot the three. So what you're seeing, in my opinion, is a shooter who's going to get his shot anytime he wants. And you still have a cast of guys who can shoot the ball. You still got Gallinari over there. You still have Bog. You still got, well, when he does, Bill, man. I mean, even Ish was shooting. Rui was shooting. He's not afraid to shoot from the perimeter. I mean, there's guys that are not afraid to shoot. Or Ish, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Washington. God damn. So all in all, Atlanta has the greater arsenal. And they have a better chance of being hotter for a longer amount of time. That's my opinion. Who are your shooters for the Knicks outside of RJ and Julius, like consistently? Like we saw something tremendous out of Burks. I couldn't believe what I had saw. But who's going to consistently match that firepower that Atlanta has? Who's going to do that? I don't see. I don't see who can match that. You heard a stat during the game, and that is New York makes a lot of threes, but they don't take a lot of threes. And that rings true. So now you're asking them to be a three-point shooting team, and they really aren't, right? They really aren't at all. So personally, I think you come out with some better shooting. I'm looking at the stats here. Capella, of course, he's not going to shoot any threes, but he gave you a good game. Collins gave you a great game, shot 50 from the three for what it's worth. I'm not expecting, even though I like DeAndre Hunter to shoot better, but he should do something for you. Of course, Bog might have even a better game. He shot the most threes at 9, so he's going to be open. Trey isn't going to give you much of a three-point, presence. But then you got Gallinari, that guy, or he actually shot more. He missed more. He was 1 for 7. So if you're gonna ask New York to match the firepower, I don't know. I don't know if they can do that. I mean, D Rose will give you a game, but he's not really a three-point shooter, right? He's gonna get his game. I do like Taj to stay in the paint and at least try to contain Clint Capella. That's the best matchup. Taj is gonna be able to do it. But I just don't know where you're going to get your extra scoring besides Burks, besides Randall, besides Bullock, and besides, well, not even Bullock. I'm going to say Barrett over Bullock, of course. None of these guys are going to give you a high three-point clip, or they're not going to shoot at a high clip. Barrett shot 6, and he went 1 for 6. And I think you see that high of a number is because they got down to the point to where they had to shoot threes. So this one here, in my opinion, because the line was short, I know there's a lot of steam on New York. I would still look at Atlanta, which I did, and I took Atlanta +2 because I believe it does not get any harder than what it did in Game 1. So if they lose, yeah, they lose. Maybe this could be just a reverse of Game 1, and they lose by 2, and it's a push. But I see Atlanta actually getting up and winning this game. So that was my play, Atlanta +2. I know a lot of people are on the Knicks, and one of these teams got to get revenge. One of these teams got to do it. So you would think New York at the Garden, there's a little pep talk going on. That is going to be, if no one else, the Knicks are going to do it. So I do like Atlanta. If the Knicks win, they win, but I like Atlanta to win this game because it's not going to be any harder than what it was the first time. All right, next game, y'all. And the last game is the Utah game. Once again, Utah has a large spread, even though they got smacked. It's -9.5. As far as the movement in this game, it's been pretty set also. It was at -9 in some spots, even opened up at 7.5. So this game was steamed up. Got as high as -10. You might even see some -10 on the books now. But yeah, 9.5 has been the sweet spot here. So if you got a 7.5, you probably got it, a good price for it. Because you've got Donovan in. I believe this game is an absolute blowout by the Jazz. I lost the first time, but I just don't think you see a Jazz game or Jazz team play that bad. I mean, it was wild what Dillon Brooks did to this team, man. It was wild what he was able to do, hands down. And he's not even really the offense guy. I'm serious. Dillon Brooks is a grinder. We've talked about it a lot. He's a grinder. He is not this offensive firepower, right? That's just going to give you 40. That's just not how he gets down. No, he's not that guy. Not that guy at all. No. So what I would say really is I haven't taken any points or anything like that on this game yet. But I do like the Jazz. I believe the Jazz cover this tremendously. I believe the Jazz are going to be double-digit favorites or to win this game. It should be that way. The model has this game at Jazz minus almost 14 points. I do take that. I believe you've got a more focused Jazz now. Of course, you've got Donovan Mitchell in, and there's a lot of verbiage with your star players coming back. But there is a sense of urgency. You can't go down 0-2 and then have to go to the grindhouse, man. The grindhouse. Conley know all about the grindhouse. He know all about the grindhouse. And so I don't think you want to go down 0-2 like that at all. No team wants to go down 0-2, period. But you at least got to take care of business at your home. And so what I didn't like, what I saw really was I didn't see the consistency or the grit really with Clarkson, man. I didn't see it. He's got to get it together. I think that is my X factor. He is the sixth man for a reason, right? So I believe you see a better game with Conley. He was coming off injury. And then you're going to see Donovan. I believe his probably main motivation is he is going to try to score, to try to shake shit up. But I think he's going to make sure that Dillon Brooks is occupied. Dillon talked enough head now to where, okay, if you want to talk like this, come see me on the court and let's see if this happens again. So I believe he just keeps Dillon Brooks more occupied, in my opinion. I don't have a play on this game just yet, but I do believe this game does get out of hand. Honestly, I believe it gets out of hand for Memphis. It just seemed too easy for them. And if this is a Jazz team that played that bad, then they should get swept. If it's a repeat, they should get swept. And this is why you see this line being larger than even the Washington line. Even larger. They're saying, we know Jazz are going to come out and take care of business. And I believe that. I do believe that. And that's it, y'all. That is it, man. Once again, thank you all for coming out. Just been a quick session. Wanted to talk these games out. Definitely hit me up, man. I am on Twitter at It's Derl. Make sure you follow. Just look in my bio. Everything is there. Sports affiliation. Everything is there. And then make sure you tune in. Got some things in the works. So I'll be heading out to Cali to take care of some business. And got some things in the works, man. So things are happening in the background. I really do appreciate all the follows, all the dialogue back and forth that we have on Twitter. I appreciate it all. Thank you. So those are the plays, and good luck tonight. Y'all take care.